A lot of the time, there are many findings in the cryptozoology circles that deserve to be scrutinized heavily. A good example of this would be the Patterson-Gimlin film. To me, the story seems too good to be true. Two cowboys set off into the forests of Northern California dead serious about capturing video evidence of the elusive Bigfoot. And what do they come out with? Exactly that. A classic never give up hope story. For decades, enthusiasts, skeptics, scientists, even costume artists from famous movies have all given their 2 cents on whether or not this was an elaborate hoax or a biological animal. The responses have been mixed, to say the very least, and with the birth of the internet and video sharing websites, along with technological advancements, enhanced versions of the film have sparked a whole new debate for generations to come. Whether you want to believe Bob Hieronymus, who claims to have worn the suit, or Philip Morris, who claims to have made the suit, all with their own contradictions and criticisms, those in the cryptid community claim that this is the best evidence they have to offer when it comes to Bigfoot, and I couldn't disagree more. The who, the why, and the where for the Patterson-Gimlin film is already known, and personally looking into the full story, to me, makes the authenticity of the film shakier than the film itself. Perhaps too much explanation paves the way to more scrutiny. As a skeptic, if you were to ask me my perspective on whether there's substantial evidence for Bigfoot's existence, my mind would not go to Patty. Instead, my mind would be on course toward the skunk ape, otherwise known as the Myakka ape photos. I like to think of the skunk ape as Bigfoot's first cousin. There are different types of races of the creature, and this would be Florida's version. More specifically, Southwest Florida. Now, this topic has been talked about to death, but if you're interested in cryptids and have been living under a rock, let me recite the full story of these mysterious photos. December 22nd, 2000. An envelope arrived at the Sarasota, Florida Sheriff's Office. The envelope contained a letter of a supposed concerned senior citizen, along with the infamous photos. The letter read, "Dear Sir or Madam, enclosed, please find some pictures I took in late September or early October of 2000. My husband says he thinks it's an orangutan. Is someone missing an orangutan? It is hard to judge from the photos how big this orangutan really is. It is in a crouching position in the middle of standing up from where it was sitting. It froze as soon as the flash went off. I didn't even see it as I took the first picture because it was so dark. As soon as the flash went off for the second time, it stood up and started to move. I then heard the orangutan walk off into the brushes. From where I was standing, I judged it to be about 6.5 to 7 feet tall in a kneeling position. As soon as I realized how close it was, I got back to the house. It had an awful smell that lasted well after it had left my yard. The orangutan was making deep whoomp noises. It sounded much further away than it actually turned out to be. If I had known it was as close to the hedgerow as it actually was, I wouldn't have walked as close as I did. I'm a senior citizen, and if this animal had come out of the hedgerow after me, there wasn't a thing I could have done about it. I was about 10 feet away from where it stood up. I'm concerned because my grandchildren like to come down and explore in my backyard. An animal this big could hurt someone seriously. For 2 nights prior, it had been taking apples that my daughter brought down from up north off our back porch. These pictures were taken on the 3rd night it had raided my apples. It only came back 1 more night after that and took some apples that my husband had left out in order to get a better look at it. We left out 4 apples. I cut 2 of them in half. The orangutan only took the whole apples. We didn't see it take them. We waited up but eventually had to go to bed. We got a dog back there now, and as far as we can tell, the orangutan hasn't been back. Please find out where this animal came from and who it belongs to. It shouldn't be loose like this. Someone will get hurt. I called a friend that used to work with animal control back up north, and he told us to call the police. I don't want any fuss or people with guns traipsing around behind our house. We live near I-75, and I'm afraid this orangutan could cause a serious accident if someone hit it. I once hit a deer that wasn't even a quarter of the size of this animal and totaled my car. At the very least, this animal belongs in a place like Busch Gardens where it can be looked after properly. Why haven't people been told that an animal like this is loose? How are people to know how dangerous this could be? If I had known that an animal like this was loose, I wouldn't have approached it. I saw on the news that monkeys that get loose can carry hepatitis and are very dangerous. Please look after this situation. I don't want my backyard to turn into someone else's circus. God bless. I prefer to remain anonymous. Okay, so to this day, this letter has been dissected and debated about. Why would this supposed senior citizen be so worried about hepatitis when she herself claims this thing was about 6 or 7 feet tall? I'm just confused as to why she says anything at all when she clearly wants something done about this animal, but she chooses to remain anonymous? So earlier I mentioned the who, the why, and the where for the Patterson-Gimlin film were known and in my opinion holds up poorly despite ongoing discussions online and elsewhere. However, for the Myakka Ape photos, we understand the why this thing was taking her apples, but the who and the where remain. The person who came the closest to discovering who took these photos was a man named David Barksey. I came across an interesting comment on Facebook from the man himself. This particular comment will give you the full context on how he was on track to figuring out the who. Quote, I am the person that obtained the original photographs from the Sarasota Sheriff's Department and sent first-generation copies to Lauren Coleman to go public. I did first-hand research as well. I always wanted to remain anonymous due to not wanting to be harassed over it. The photographer never came forth. I even found the Eckerd drugstore the photographs were developed from coating on the back of them, and spoke to the person that remembers seeing them at the time. Naysayers know little or nothing about any of the events and understandably irritating, to say the least, when they pompously express lies or opinions as fact. The photographs rekindled my interest at the time, and I even conducted nightly field research in Myakka State Park, which I had gate codes for, and along remote parts of Route 72 as well. There is much evidence that resulted from that, end quote. Now, after seeing this comment, I was eager to know what David had to say about the Eckerd employee actually seeing the person getting the photos developed. So my next course of action was to contact David directly for a short interview about his involvement with this case. Attempting to find a way of contacting him, I had come to find out that David had actually passed away earlier this year. My condolences to him and his family. There are individuals who claim the photos were taken in certain areas. Barry Spencer was a Reddit user who claimed the Myakka Ape photos were an orchestrated hoax perpetrated by a man named Justin Arnold. I would love to go over every single point that Spencer makes in favor of his arguments for Justin Arnold's involvement, but there's a YouTube channel called Crash Course Cryptozoology that already did just that. One of the arguments that Barry Spencer makes is that Justin Arnold's family lives in Sarasota, Florida, and upon Spencer's findings, he claims that in front of the house there is a large palmetto bush that he says is the same one in the photos. As I said, the YouTube channel Crash Course Cryptozoology had already made a video, and I'm going to play a clip from his video so that I can give you a little bit of context to some of the research that I personally discovered while diving in this case.
There's more about the letter, though, that Barry Spencer finds significant, one of them being the location listed in the letter, as well as the witness who lives at said location. The sighting in the letter is said to have happened right off of Interstate 75 from an elderly woman on her back porch. There are some loose connections to Justin Arnold there, that being he has, allegedly, elderly family in Wisconsin whose house is similarly described in the back porch area, and that more of his family allegedly lives less than 5 minutes from Interstate 75 somewhere. Barry Spencer even points out that there is a patch of silver saw palmetto on that particular property that he believes is Justin Arnold's family near Interstate 75. I've yet to find any confirmation that Justin Arnold's family does live at this location or that he has family in Wisconsin. As for the patch of silver saw palmetto, it's interesting, but there are a few issues with it. For one thing, looking at the Myakka photographs, it's clear that there are actually two bushes of silver saw in the photos. One in the foreground that is obstructing the subject, and one behind the subject off to the left facing the opposite direction. There is no such opposite facing bush in the photos provided by Barry Spencer. In fact, there's only one big bush that winds around a tree. Is it possible that in the 20 years or so since these photos were allegedly taken, that that bush has come down? Absolutely. While he doesn't make direct reference to that left bush, Barry Spencer does admit that the location seems to have changed from the photo over time. If it has, there's currently no sign of it, as either there was no change, or it's just been so long that now it just looks normal again. Unfortunately, these all appear to be kind of the looser connections, again, looked at by themselves, that Barry Spencer has presented. We have no way of confirming the family location information, and we have no way of confirming if this is the yard where this happened. The only significant feature of this by itself might be that this is in close proximity, obviously, to Myakka State Park, but plenty of sightings happen around Myakka State Park. It doesn't mean that Justin Arnold or some other hoaxer is involved in every single one of them just because it's near their location.
Now, before I share my findings, I want to say thank you to Crash Course Cryptozoology for allowing me to use his clip. I was going to make a segment in this video talking about Barry Spencer's claims myself, but thought that that would be a disservice to his work and research he already did on this. It would have literally been a copy and paste job, which I didn't want to do and I didn't feel right about. Link to his channel is down in the description below, along with the video where he discussed all of Barry Spencer's claims. So I was customarily interested in the claim that Justin Arnold's relative's house was where the original photographs were actually taken. Barry Spencer was adamant about doxing concerns, so he didn't want to publicly expose the address, which I 100% agree with. I took the liberty of tracking the address myself and can confirm that it is Justin Arnold's family's house. For the same concerns Barry had, I will not be disclosing the address. Here we see the supposed palmetto bush that the photos depict. The street view is from 2011, though the street view goes all the way back to 2007, and the bushes never expand nor do they look stretched out to match the photos. I remain unconvinced that Justin Arnold had any involvement in this case. I understand that I probably rambled a bit too much and I left out quite a bit of detail, but there are other channels that dive deeper than I have. I maintain the idea that this is the best photo evidence we have of Bigfoot, despite not knowing who took them and despite the naysayers claiming they know the who and the where. For a long time, these photos have haunted me. If it's a man in a suit, where's the suit? If it's a Ripley's Believe It or Not Bigfoot display, which skeptics have actually claimed, why is there clear movement? A lot of it doesn't hold up to scrutiny, other than the strange letter, and even then, to me it sounds like a boomer legitimately wrote it. I always wondered that if everything in the letter was true, and a senior citizen did take these, does she know the impact her photos had for the cryptid culture? These were plastered pretty much everywhere. Surely, someone knows this person, or maybe it was a hoax all along and they're laughing at me right now. Which is fair. They fooled me into making this video. If you made it through this video, I want to thank you for watching my first big project on this channel. And I want to again thank Crash Course Cryptozoology for allowing me to use his clip. Go check him out. Link is in the description. But what is your opinion? Is the Myakka Ape photos like bullshit? Or do you think they have merit?